Christian Church on 7th and Temple Street in Long Beach. And it is for the High Council of 13. And in this country on that night, it is a satanic ritual. It's actually, there are 3 nights in a row at that church. The first night is Halloween.
What happens on the night of Halloween?
That night is about the worship and homage to Satan. And that is what a lot of people in this country know the devil to be. This is about the devil, Satan. And Christianity talks constantly. I mean, I believe they created Christianity to be what it is.
Yeah, I better listen to what this lady talking about. You know what I'm saying? You gotta pay very close attention to this stuff, man. She's talking about Christianity and how they accept Halloween and how they paying homage to Satan and allow kids to go trick-or-treating with the demonic outfits and costumes. Pay attention to the lady, man.
And so they also have created this Satan. And so they control in that way. And on that night, there's a lot of bloodshed, and there are sacrifices made to Satan. There is a person who plays the part of this in this High Council that has to do with this High Council. He's not on the High Council, but he has to do with playing the part of Satan. He is a televangelist on TBN. He used to be, he filled in for a little while as the lead singer on Iron Butterfly many years ago. And he has long blonde hair.
What's his name?
At this point, I don't recall his name. And
if people want to, judge her about her memory and stuff, you got to understand she went through MK Ultra. She went through a lot of stuff as a kid. And, so I can see people like, oh, she can't even remember his name. It must not be real. Man, if you can only imagine, I was put on Ritalin in the 3rd grade. Ritalin. Literally getting high as a kid to go to school because I couldn't stay seated. And like the rest of the children or whatnot, and they gave me gynecomastia. I'll let y'all go research that yourselves. GYNECOMASTIA. Gynecomastia. Ritalin, yes, a rare side effect of Ritalin is gynecomastia. No lawyer will take the case. No lawyer will take the case against Novartis for that. That's what they think about children.
I recognize his face. I saw it recently on TBN, and then this is his cover, or he is DID, and he plays this part, the great deceiver Satan, on that night, on Halloween, at this church. And that is what happens on Halloween. And I mean, what else I must say, what is going on with Halloween in this country? It's just becoming so popular. It is also to desensitize people to the whole thing, and even this backlash Christian movement that wants to call it Harvest Festival. It does not realize that the Harvest Festival has to do with Druidic religion. And again, they are still doing the same thing and celebrating the Harvest Festival. That's what the Harvest Festival is about.
Are many of the so-called Christian rituals, because that's what they are, or festivals or ceremonies, are they actually, to most Christians, unknowing representations of these satanic rituals?
Yes, they are. One, for example, Christmas has
Uh-oh.
to do with it's a time.
I'm going to tell you what I researched about Christmas. It's all my Christians or Jews or whoever that follows the Old Testament, New Testament, or the Christian Bible, Holy Bible. I'm going to call it the Holy Bible. If you follow that, as I did and I do, Jeremiah 10. Jeremiah 10 talks about, I'll let you go read it yourself. It's in the Old Testament, Jeremiah chapter 10. It's I don't know what she's finna say, 'cause I watched this a long time ago. It was titled a whole different video. It was called The Greatest Documentary Ever. It's called something else now. People argue me up and down in the comments. This is the original video, and it's not. But Saturnalia, it's a pagan, pretty much it's pagan, and pagan holiday. They're very closely similar to Christmas. It's very similar to Christmas, and God actually forbids His people in the Old Testament and the book of Jeremiah 10 about worshiping, Christmas and celebrating Christmas, the Santa Claus. I forget what she's going to say, but it's I think Nimrod or somebody like that. It's that's who they're really praising on Christmas. It's not Jesus,
It comes right after the.
And also, I want to add. I'm gonna go back a little bit. Also, I want to add that in the original video that I saw, the one that was called The Best Documentary Ever, she talked about JonBenét Ramsey, and JonBenét Ramsey was murdered around Christmas. So she may be getting close to talking about that in this video. If she doesn't talk about that in this video, they obviously edited that out whenever they re-uploaded this video. But that was the first time I ever heard about JonBenét Ramsey was listening to Arizona Wilder.
Has to do with it's a time. It comes right after the winter solstice, which is a satanic or a druidic celebration. It has to do, there's a day in there called that day, which is not a day. It has to do with the killing of the old king and the birth of the new king, which is a druidic day. On the 24th.
I have to research druidic. I'm tying that into pagan. That's maybe a similar word to what I'm using, pagan. Druidic. I have to research that because the other video I shared, the guy was speaking about druids and stuff. So I haven't really researched druids too much, but what she's referring to as druids, I pretty much refer to as pagan. So I'm gonna clear that up.
Or the 25th at midnight, there is a ceremony that's specifically for children, and it's called the last bulb on the tree.
Where does that come from?
That is something that's used with children. It's part of programming them into the whole thing. And there were things that would happen to the child that hung the last bulb on the tree on Christmas Eve, as it was a common practice to decorate the tree on Christmas Eve, and the tree in itself is a phallic symbol, and it's paganistic. Christmas is based on pagan day, and back to Roman times, and Christians have given it. They think they have given it Christian meaning, and it means something else, and it does not. But there is the case with the last bulb on the tree that has something to do with what happened to this little girl, JonBenét.
JonBenét Ramsey.
Yes, JonBenét Ramsey. And this occurred on this night because of the day it has to do with. It comes right after the winter solstice, which is a satanic or a druidic celebration. It has to do, there's a day in there called That Day Which Is Not a Day. It has to do with the killing of the old king and the birth of the new king, which is a Druidic day. On the 24th or the 25th at midnight, there is a ceremony that's specifically for children, and it's called the last bulb on the tree.
Where does that come from?
That is something that's used with children. It's part of programming them into the whole thing. And there were things that would happen to the child that hung the last bulb on the tree on Christmas Eve, as it was a common practice to decorate the tree on Christmas Eve, and the tree in itself is a phallic symbol, and it's paganistic.
It is. God forbids that.
Christmas is based on pagan day.
Yeah, Saturnalia.
And back to Roman times, and Christians have given it, they think they have given it Christian meaning, and it means something else, and it does not. But there is the case with the last bulb on the tree that has something to do with what happened to this little girl, JonBenét.
JonBenét Ramsey.
Yes, JonBenét Ramsey. And this occurred on this night because of the day it has to do with, and the ceremony that it has to do with. And there were rituals done on that night to these little children. So that is totally tied into it.
I have heard that JonBenét's name is relevant to the rituals. Do you know anything about that? JonBenét is a satanic deity or Satan. JonBenét is a name for Satan. And that name is just closely tied in. It is so close, and I don't understand why it hasn't come out. That I know of, it hasn't been talked about. But that is why she was killed on the day that she was killed, and her family, as far as I'm concerned, her family is involved in this, and that there's always a price to be involved in it. Right. She was the price.
Right.
This little girl lost her life.
Can we talk about some of the famous names that people around the world would know who, in your experience, have taken part in these rituals that you've conducted? You say you've conducted them in Europe and the United States. Can we start with the